Hello, I'm Kenza Gray, the co-founder and curator at Grey Area Gallery, and welcome to Distance Between. Distance Between is the solo show of Benjamin Alden, a Norwich-based artist who primarily works in paint. However, we have incorporated a mixture of his mediums in here, including pastels and sketches, to bring the full body of his work together for this solo show. In Benjamin's paintings, the viewer is often confronted with a scene that seems familiar, be it a domestic scene or the outside of a pub, for example, places that we've all been and scenes that we could all have lived in. However, when you take a moment to look at the scenes, there is often a deeper meaning below the surface. Be it a slightly surreal aspect, such as the jellyfish, or the people looking off into the distance with a sort of eerie sense, allowing us to wonder, what are they looking at? What have they just witnessed? In all of this, Benjamin is showing his ability to play with scenes, quite confidently throwing curveballs into the painting that bring the viewer to take a moment of introspection to think about the spaces in which they themselves inhabit. When looking at Benjamin's works and thinking about a title for this exhibition, the words distance between really stood out to me as a good example of the feeling that we get looking at Ben's works. It's this idea that we're connecting with these people, but there is a distance between us, and there's often a distance between them. So when we then curated the space, it became very apparent to me that we wanted to include these two twin pieces that you see behind me, with a space between them. In those paintings, we have two people who are in a crowd, yet they are alone, and we have physically added a distance between them in the room. Second to that, in the curation process, I knew that I really wanted one of his bright and colourful paintings in between those two people on the back wall. We also illuminated that with all of the spotlights in that section and kept the two dark alcoves either side of it. When curating the space, we knew that we wanted a few standout works, his larger, bolder paintings, to be the things that confront the viewer at first. One of which was this painting, Let Them Eat Cake. When we saw it in his studio, we just knew that the really bright and bold colours were making it a piece that should be a standout work at the start. What Benjamin plays with in this painting is the contrasts of colours by bringing in an element like the red clock at the start, which is really striking against the sort of beige wall, or the orange chair at the bottom. These allow your eye to play around the painting until you finally land on Ben in the middle and think, again, what is happening in this scene? Why is he slightly off-centre, looking out? What is happening over here that we can't see? We know that he's eating some cake, but it seems like an odd scene. You know, he's in a suit and socks. Why is he eating cake? It's all these things that allow us to be drawn into the painting, to think about what's going on. It's all these elements that Benjamin plays with so effortlessly in the paintings that make them so striking. There are some beautiful aspects in this painting that are worth mentioning. One of which is the orange underlay, which helps illuminate each section of the painting. This is really prominent in the suit, and I think it really brings him out of the canvas. It's a grey, almost dull suit, but it has this illuminating quality with the orange outline. The other aspect, which I think is really beautifully executed, is these little strokes of quite thick white oil paint, which just crudely mark out where the light is hitting his body. When going through Benjamin's body of works, we noticed that there were two distinct different styles that we saw. There was the large and bold, brighter works, which you see as you enter the room, but then we saw in his studio the smaller, moodier pieces, which were often set around campfires or pubs in the evening. So it became apparent to us when we were setting up that we wanted to separate these in some way. We've set it up like this, that you have two alcoves at the back, which are darker, and as you walk in, you don't even notice them at first as your eyes are drawn to the bolder works. But as you walk around the room, you find the two alcoves at the back, and they allow for a moment when you can come in and look at these smaller works in a darker space and really understand the setting of being outside in the dark. From the pieces in these corners, what's really been drawing attention from the crowds is the pieces with people sitting around fires. For example, here we've got the father and son, in which you can clearly see this dramatic light coming from out of the painting, which is obviously from a fire, but we cannot see it. Benjamin's decided not to depict the actual fire, but we know that it's there. I think what's really allowing people who visit and see Benjamin's work to connect with these pieces is that we've all sat around a fire and not interacted, not had technology in the way, and yet we're together. And this is really a poignant piece with the father and son just together watching the fire. Alongside the fire pieces, Benjamin paints works that are equally as relatable but in a different way. And these are the outside pub scenes. Again, it's a moment we've all lived at the end of a night when no one's quite interacting with each other, there's nothing left to say, but again, you're all just sitting together, having shared a communal moment. In this work, Glitch, our attention is drawn to the figure in the middle and the light illuminating above his head. We see that it's a corner, it's being lit and it's dark around. Benjamin achieves this so beautifully with the small touches of the brush and the darkness that he allows to fall across the other people. Along with this, the composition of having the viewer almost sitting at the table as the fifth person in this scene really draws us in and invites us into the scene. This painting, Transposed, is the piece that we chose to be the poster, so it might be a scene that you're familiar with. We chose it to be the poster for its insanely striking quality. That is created through this contrast of the green, bright, very cold background against the figure in the middle's warm, natural flesh tones. It's again almost illuminated like a drama scene on a stage. He has this bold strike of light coming down onto him, drawing all of our attention to this figure in the middle, who allows us none of his attention. He's looking over here. It's a scene again that really draws the viewer in to think about the deeper meaning within, which Ben is creating through his use of colour and light and these ambiguities that he embeds into his scenes. In many of Benjamin's paintings we can see an interior scene, the domestic scenes such as a living room, a place which we can all feel comfort, but he brings a sense of discomfort through his use of surrealism in the paintings. For example, in the piece behind me, the floor is water and their feet and the wire of the computer are submerged. It is a scene, although uncomfortable for us, they are quite comfortable in. Within these works, Benjamin's using these elements to make the viewer wonder, again, what is going on and what's happening in the scene. We broke up the space by adding this vitrine in the centre of the room. We knew that we wanted to display some of Ben's sketches and paintings in which he works out what he's going to create in the canvases. I think it's been really important for people to see that Ben doesn't just take the canvas and paint straight away his scenes on there. He meticulously works out each section, for example, each eye, how he's going to do it. And I think it's been really lovely for people to see that these canvases on the wall have come from a long process of working out. We've just closed the doors on Distance Between, our last exhibition of 2024. Thank you to everyone who came to see Benjamin's works and everyone who supported the gallery over this past year. For now, we're keeping some of Benjamin's works on consignment so they can be seen in the gallery and on our website. We'll see you next year when our exhibitions will continue. Bye.